Give me a sense, first of all, if you would have to characterize the current banking environment that exists right now, how would you characterize the atmosphere for banking?
I characterize it this way. By and large, the industry is getting healthier and healing. You see that through improved earnings. You see that through lower delinquency rates and lower provision for loan losses. Most of the big banks pass their stress tests with good marks. But it's also an industry, especially for the smaller banks, where there's still some difficulty and stress to be felt.
Where does that difficulty and stress come from?
It comes from lack of capital, or a high level of non-performing assets, or regulatory stress.
So for the viewers out there, why would the banks have a lack of capital?
Banks need to be able to grow, and they need their capital to keep pace with their assets. If they're not earning good money, or if they're having to sock away more money for problem loans, that hurts their capital base and inhibits their ability to grow. It's also a time when bank stocks tend to be out of favor with investors, so it's difficult to raise capital, especially if you don't have a strong story to tell right now.
And you had at the beginning, though. I mean, one of the strongest IPOs in the history of the southern part of the state.
Capital Bank of New Jersey had a record-breaking initial public offering. We were the largest ever bank offering in southern New Jersey at $20 million. We also had a secondary offering at a premium to book, and we're now making good money. And that plows back into our stockholders' equity account that enables us to fuel our future growth.
The problems of the big banks, opportunities for you?
Absolutely right. Yeah. While a number of community banks are struggling right now, if you are a well-capitalized, well-run community bank like Capital Bank of New Jersey is, this is a terrific time to be a community banker, because the big banks can only grow so much more. And while they're good at a lot of things, they're not good at small business lending and local commercial real estate lending, which is classically what a community bank does well, and we're growing very nicely.
The housing situation, how does it impact your operations? How does it play into what you do?
Residential mortgage lending is not a major part of what we do. We do it, but commercial lending and real estate lending is a focus of ours.
When home and the home end of the business is in trouble, does that have a major impact on the commercial lending part of it?
It has some effect. It affects confidence, and employment and housing and business conditions are directly related, but because it's not what our collateral typically consists of, and we're not lending on a lot of housing projects, it hasn't been a detriment for us.
But when you're not seeing a lot of housing projects go, I mean, from 10 years ago when things were boom, boom, boom all over the place and houses are popping up and there's growth, then you need commercial entities to go up as well. That doesn't exist anymore, does it?
That's true. The good economic conditions, when there's housing growth, when businesses are buying building or putting in lines of equipment, that's good for banks. We've grown tremendously over the last 5 years, not because of those good conditions. We've grown because people are increasingly dissatisfied with their big bank and choosing to come to little banks like us. So we've been growing by taking market share from others.
When you take a look at the business trends within the state, and the administration's efforts to grow NJ, as they call it, does that impact you? Is that something you look upon favorably?
We're headquartered in Cumberland County, which statistically, of the 21 New Jersey counties, is one of the most, if not the most, economically challenged. Right. So we're accustomed to growing our business and banking in an environment that is not necessarily favorable. The statewide economic policies, while there's some good ones, and the Christie administration is trying to make the state a more business-friendly one, we're growing and doing well in spite of those.
Has the state neglected Cumberland County?
I wouldn't say that. Cumberland County is an area that has one of the UEZs in the state. It's a particularly well-run UEZ, as a matter of fact. Now, the future of the UEZs is in question, but I would not say that the state's neglected Cumberland County.
And as you take a look at economic trends as we go through the rest of this year, do you think that we avoid some of these concerns right now where we're seeing the weaker jobs reports and we're seeing some grave concerns about not necessarily double dip, but a slowdown in growth? Are you worried about that? I
am worried about that. My crystal ball doesn't work any better than anybody else's does, and I don't know if we've touched bottom or if we're out of the woods on the economy. We run our shop not counting on economic recovery, but making a case-by-case assessment of every business owner that we lend to and the fundamentals of his or her business.
I have to leave it there. David Hanrahan, thank you for coming in.
My pleasure. Thank you.